magic, white and black, the science of finite and infinite life. A man who attempts to fall in love with himself, or with other words, to find in his person his own highest ideal, will never succeed in being contented and harmonious. A man who seeks to recognize himself as his own highest ideal becomes self-centered and vain. His love, instead of expanding to the periphery of his sphere, will act from its periphery to the center, and he will become spiritually smaller every day. But the man or the woman who seeks the realization of their own ideal in the object of their love will, if they find it, recognize it as their own self, which they always possessed, although they were not aware of its possession until they found it in another form. He who possesses the truth recognizes it wherever he finds it in others, but he who does not possess it cannot recognize it. Our modern age often rejects the highest truths unless they bear the stamp of man-created authority, but the wise recognize the truth by its own light. Light is darkness unless it is reflected by matter. Light cannot illuminate itself, but it illuminates the darkness. And consequently, the existence of light depends on the existence of matter. Love without an object cannot exist relatively. A person in love with himself loves nothing. Love attached to nothing exists in the absolute. Love, to be strong, must be pure and unalloyed with selfish considerations. If we love a thing on account of the use we can make of it, we do not in reality love that thing, but ourselves. Pure love has only the well-being of its object in view. It does not calculate profits, and is not afraid of disadvantages that may grow out of its love. The intellect calculates, but love follows the law of attraction. Impure love is no love at all, it is merely attraction. It is weak and does not enter into its object. It may cause a ruffle on the soul of another, but does not penetrate to the center. Pure love penetrates and cannot be resisted, unless it is opposed by another love of equal strength, but streaming in another direction. The most potent love potion a person can give to another is to love that person without any selfish object in view. Such pure love will infuse itself into the soul of the beloved and call forth corresponding vibrations of love, because one mode of activity gives rise to similar modes, according to the universal law of induction. This is undoubtedly true, provided that the love germs in the soul of the beloved correspond in quality to those of the lover and are reached by the latter. The strongest sunshine cannot cause any plants to grow in a soil in which the seeds of the latter are too deeply embedded to be reached by the heat of the sun, or too much obstructed by weeds to grow. If you wish to progress on the road to perfection, take lessons in love. Learn to love the highest and you will be attracted by it. Seek in every man those qualities which appear to be high, and cover his mistakes by charity and love. If you speak ill of another, you speak ill of yourself, because he who prominently notices the faults of another must have the elements of those faults in himself. A vain person is repulsed by the vanity of another, A liar expects from others the truth. A thief does not wish to have his own property taken away. Virtues attract each other, producing harmony, but vices repulse each other, and discord is the result. Each man is a mirror in which every other man may see his own image reflected, either as he is or as he may become in the future, for in every human soul exist the same elements. Although in different states of development, and their development often depends on external conditions over which man has but little control, an emotion suppressed and forced back on itself may become diseased and its direction perverted. A love which is neither transformed nor fulfilled, but harbored in the heart, creates phantoms and hallucinations just as stagnant water develops animal life. A love for a high ideal which, instead of reaching up to the sphere of that ideal, seeks for it in lower spheres, will languish and starve or be attracted to lower ideals. But if love meets its corresponding love, harmony will be the result. Love is the most necessary element for the continuance of life. There is no life without love, and if man were to cease to love life, he would cease to live. A love for a higher life will lead men to a higher condition. A love for a lower state will drag them down to a low. It often happens that if a person's love for a high ideal does not meet the object which it desires, it transfers its love upon something that is low. The elderly without any offspring often transfer their parental affection upon some favorite cat or dog, and there are men who buy the semblance of love when no genuine love can be had. Whenever a lower vibration is not entirely out of harmony with a higher one, the higher vibration may accelerate the action of the lower one and bring it up to its own level, in the same manner as a bar of iron, surrounded by an insulated electric wire, may have electricity induced in it, and through a long continued and powerful action of the higher vibrations upon the lower ones, even the involuntary actions of the body, such as the movements of the heart, may become subject to individual will. Two strings of a musical instrument which sound not entirely out of harmony may, by being sounded together for a certain length of time, at last become harmonious. A man living in more refined society, which is not too far above his moral or intellectual level, will become more refined. Servants will ape their masters, and animals take some of the lower characteristics of those that attend to them. Friends or married couples, being continually in each other's company, may finally resemble each other to a certain extent. If the respective rates of the vibrations of two substances are entirely out of harmony, they may repel each other, and abnormal activity or excitement follows. The animal body, for instance, can be exposed without danger to a comparatively high degree of heat if the temperature is gradually raised, while an even lower degree of heat may be very injurious if applied suddenly. It is not for fancied reasons that the occultist abstains from alcohol and from animal food. The elements of such substances are in a high state of activity, and by coming into contact with the elements of the blood, they stimulate them and throw them into an abnormal state of vibration, giving rise to emotions on the astral plane, which may in their turn affect the higher principles in man in an undesirable manner. The same is the case with other substances, whose odic emanations are red, while those emitting blue auras are of a different character. But even the highest elements draw their nourishment indirectly from the lowest ones. And the old saying that a sound mind needs a sound body to develop in is not a mere fiction. Because although a sound brain, the instrument of the mind, may exist in an invalid body, still robust health is nevertheless useful and desirable, and it is important for the development of occult powers to select proper food and follow such laws of hygiene as the individual may require. What may be one man's food will be another man's poison, in the sphere of matter as well as in the sphere of the emotions. Strong constitutions can bear strong food. Weak minds will get frightened at unwelcome truths. Intemperance in food and drink is as bad as intemperance in emotion, and self-restraint is equally necessary on both planes. No man has ever become an adept merely because he lived on vegetables. A vegetable diet is, however, much preferable to meat eating for various reasons. Apart from the self-evident fact that it is entirely untheosophical and opposed to the divine law of justice that he who strives after the attainment of a higher state of existence should destroy animal life, or cause others to destroy it for the purpose of gratifying his animal appetite, it will be plain to everyone who investigates the laws of the higher life that the loading of the human organism with animal substances will not facilitate its penetration by the light of the divine spirit. Those who desire to become more spiritual and refined should avoid supplying their bodies with that which is gross. Those who desire to master their passions should not feed themselves with substances in which the elements of such passions reside. Those who wish to come into possession of more ethereal forms act unwisely if they supply the latter with substances which must necessarily render them more gross and material and dense, and thus hinder the free movements of the spirit within. Instances may be known where a person has attained a considerable degree of spiritual development in spite of living on the corpses of animals. But such instances are very rare, and it may be said without hesitation that one of the first steps to the acquisition of spiritual refinement is the abandonment of animal food. A great variety of different kinds of food produces disorders of the digestive organs and impurities of the blood. A struggle for life ensues between the different auras, and excitement, fever, and disease is the result. The same law explains the origin of venereal and cutaneous diseases. And in the astral plane, a great variety of emotions called into existence within a short space of time may render a person insane. Numerous cases of severe chronic diseases are known to have been cured by fasting, either voluntary or enforced. Man actually needs but little food. Gluttony is a habit, not a necessity. Wherever two forces of an entirely opposite character meet, disharmony will be the result. And as everybody has his own peculiar emanations and auras and transmits them to others, So everyone receives the magnetic auras of others or of the locality by which he is surrounded, and these emanations may be either wholesome or pestiferous. Men and women may either cure or poison each other by them, and it may therefore be well to follow the advice which Gautama Buddha gave to his disciples, and eat and sleep alone. Many people are very careful to have their food well prepared so that no unhealthy food enters the body, while at the same time they are very careless as to what emotions enter their mind, because they fail to realize that purity of the emotions is as necessary as purity of the body. A strong force overcomes a weak force, and a stronger emotion may render a weaker one inactive. If the strong emotion is high, it elevates the lower. If the lower one is the strongest, degradation is the result. Cautiousness may keep combativeness in check or make man a coward. But without cautiousness, combativeness will fly off at a tangent, and rashness and disaster may be the result.